Yo, what's up, everybody? Lawler here. Today we've got a bunch of roster confirmations and rumors, and I don't even know where to begin. We talked about how the offseason this season was going to be pretty crazy for roster changes due to the fact that players and teams are going to have to stick together for about 10 and a half months, assuming format and stuff stays the same. So there is some massive domino effect going on where players that you wouldn't expect are trying out for other teams, and it's just how many of these are confirmed, how many of these are true, I don't know, but let's all try to wrap our head around it. What is up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. If you haven't been able to pay attention to two things, number one, obviously the Twitter life, or the document that I have made for all of you, by all means, links to everything in the description down below. If you guys want to stay up to date on all things RLCS roster related, you can either go into my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Lawler, where I stream every day but Tuesday and Sunday, and type !RLCS rosters. It'll pull up a document of the current rosters and then rumors and confirmations on the right hand side, and it's kind of the easiest place to do it. There's just so much stuff going on, so instead of having to kind of pick and choose and look, just use that. With that said, let's dive into these one by one, because there's some pretty big ones in here. First things first, we're going to start off with confirmations. Some of these I do know are a little bit old. It's just trying to pair these together and group these together to make sure we don't see some flip-flopping like we're going to talk about in the next one. So first off, Top Blokes have confirmed that Flame, a rumor that was previous, has officially been confirmed. Flame is no longer with the roster of Top Blokes. It is still Archie and Cassio, and they're going to be looking for a new third member. They ended up putting out a video thanking him for his efforts, and we'll be curious to see on who they end up finding out. Again, with this domino effect and open options, if Solar is disbanding, all these other crazy things are happening, I don't know where the heck people are going to go. I honestly have no idea who will fill in the slot, which is really exciting. So again, we'll keep tabs on it as always. I talked about the topsy-turvy, the upside down of nonsense that is Team Queso, how they're staying together, now they're breaking up, and now they're staying together. Well, they're back on the other side of the coin now. Apparently, the daily update that Shift ended up putting out saying that it does look like Team Queso is hinting at going their separate ways after just a little bit ago, talking about how they were sticking together. So who the heck knows how this is going to go? It's going to continue to go back and forth. And I think a lot of this just has to do with roster availability, where a player is going to look for a different team, and if it pans out, then they will kind of do their own thing. But if they can't be successful in that regard, they'll stick together. Similar to the Solar situation with Farah and Chausette, where Chausette has stated that he is LFT, but if the tryouts that he's looking for don't work, then he'll stick with Farah and they'll try to figure something out. And speaking of that, the craziest rumor that I have for you guys, this one comes from Shift as well, stating that apparently Chausette has tried out for Dignitas in place of Violent Panda. So it'd be Chausette, Jorias, and apparently Jack. And that is just wild to me, seeing if that is a possibility. So this one is a rumor. This is the one that caught me the most off guard. Whether it's going to happen or not, I have no idea. But man, if this one does happen, I think it'll change the entire dynamic of that team. So interesting to see how this one progresses. Also sticking to Europe, we have another rumor about the former Galaxy Racer roster, now known as the Monkeys again. If you guys don't remember me dressing up as a monkey costume and doing their grid casts, lucky you. But the Monkeys, which is what they are now because Galaxy Racer has taken a step out, Arju and Matane have started looking for obviously a new third with Ixo's removal and now Bluey no longer being on the roster. It seems like they have tried out Team Singularity's Hibbs, which again, Team Singularity has been a team that has shown promise, but hasn't really been able to do it consistently. So with Scrub LFT and the results not being the greatest, I would not be surprised that team kind of disbands and tries to find elsewhere. Again, based upon how roster tryouts and stuff go with scrimmages and everything else, we do not know what the end result will be. So as always, I will do my best to stay up to date because there's going to be a lot of these. This is going to be a pretty common theme over the next couple of months. Something that is not a rumor and is actually confirmed is, unfortunately for Trainhard Esports, they are closing their doors. They ended up putting out a tweet saying it's painful, but we have to announce that Trainhard is closing its doors today. After many years in esports and unforgettable moments, it's time for us to let go, mostly because of economical reasons. Another team bites the dust due to the fact that the pandemic has really affected a lot of people in the economy. Before we leave, we'd like to thank everyone that helped us build Trainhard with their own skills, staff, players, and you, our true fans. Thank you for everyone, and good luck in this world, which is beautiful and rough at the same time. Because of that, there is obviously the roster former Trainhard, that is going to be looking for a new representation. This is Econ and the rest of the guys over there. So fingers crossed they can find a new home and get that bread. But this one is a confirmation. So no rumor here. Unfortunate for Trainhard that they are going to be no more. Jumping over to North America, we've got technically three things to talk about. One more of a conversation piece, in my opinion. The first one is going to be with the Pittsburgh Knights. The Pittsburgh Knights have decided that they are going to change up their roster. They're bringing Alpha Cap over from Ghost Gaming and signing him to a 2-year contract extension. So the Pittsburgh Knights team has been extended for 2 years, and the starting roster is going to be, instead of with ZPS, is going to be Alpha Cap. So ZPS is actually going to their inactive roster and probably going to be looking elsewhere, is my assumption, while Flitz, their former sub, has been parted ways with. So Flitz no longer on the team. Alpha Cap is taking the starting role. ZPS is going to the inactive or sub spot until I assume they can find a buyout or a new home for him. So PK already making a very early adjustment. We'll see how things progress. I have talked to them behind the scenes, and they're pretty happy with the results so far. So excited to see it in action. Next up, there's obviously a lot of conversation around G2 and two kind of things to discuss. One more on the sad side of things, but also kind of exciting. And then another one surrounding Drees. A lot of teams have already discussed with G2, why are they not signing Drees? Drees has played phenomenally, all this kind of stuff. Why are you not going with him? And I think people need to understand this from G2's perspective. G2 is a very sought after organization. It's one of the best performing and has been one of the best performing teams in Rocket League for a significant amount of time. And it would be silly of them, as they've stated openly and publicly, that they're not just limiting to their search in the United States or North America. They're looking at European regions and international regions as well. And it'd be silly of them not to open it up, because there's going to be a lot of teams and a lot of high profile players that would be enticed to go play for G2. Chicago and JNAPS are incredible, and being the third player to that, along with an organization that backs Rocket League heavily, is kind of the pipe dream. Look what it's done for Rizzo, and we'll talk about that in just a second here. There's a lot of people that are like, why aren't you just sticking with Drees? And it's because it would be silly of them to. Yes, they run the risk of losing Drees if he decides to go and try out for another team, which he should most definitely do. He should not put all of his cards in G2 and hope. He should say, hey, you're looking for other teams. I'm also going to do that, but I do want to stay here. But if you guys are looking elsewhere, I have to as well. There should be a common understanding there. But they do run the risk of Drees going elsewhere, because clearly he's shown his talents. Clearly he shows he's a very talented free agent. So Drees does have a Twitch clip that is put out, which I'll probably play in just a second here, about his information. And it doesn't look like he's doing that, but I would hope that he actually gives his options and leaves those options open to look elsewhere in case things don't pan out. So
definitely on G2. The people they're trying out, there doesn't go as planned. Then I still have a chance of staying on, but we'll see what happens.
It does look like G2, as they've stated, have been looking and trying out multitude of players, and we'll see how this one plays out. But yeah, there's a lot of people wondering why they just don't go with Drees, and it's like, because they're G2, why wouldn't they look and try to field other players that might be from other top organizations? There's a lot of people talking about how Envy and pretty much every team but Space Station and Energy are making roster changes in North America. So that's a lot of really good AAA talent available. You're talking the Mists and the Turbos and everybody else that could possibly jump ship to G2. You just never know. Last and certainly not least, Rizzo obviously has retired from Rocket League and is no more, but it is now made official that he is no longer with G2. Rizzo has officially left the G2 organization. There is a farewell video that I will link down below that is very touching, and a lot of pros and content creators and stuff wishing their best to Rizzo. But I'm actually happy for him. I think this is a great chapter in his life, something he's been wanting for a very long time. I talked about the fact that Rizzo is retiring in a previous video, which you guys watched a lot. I would highly recommend going and check that out as well if you haven't seen it. But primarily, I'm excited for Rizzo. He's obviously been doing the content thing now for a couple months, and it just looks like he's way happier. It just seems like, for someone that's gotten to know Rizzo a little bit here and there, this is something that he is an entertainer, and this is stuff that people state obviously in the video quite a bit. But this is where I think his bread and butter is going to be. I think he's going to obviously absolutely dominate the Rocket League content game now that he has that creative freedom, and you're starting to see him obviously do more of the mainstream stuff with reaction stuff and Reddit recaps and everything else, which is absolutely fantastic because I think his personality really shines. So although he's leaving G2, and I think It is an opportunity that G2 might be able to sign him as a content creator. Whether they do that or not, or whether Rizzo just wants to do his own thing, is obviously possible. So credit to Rizzo and what he's accomplishing already, and I'm looking forward to his future. But a very sad feeling knowing that he's no longer with G2 after being there for, what, 4 or 5 years. It's pretty crazy to see. That is going to wrap it up for your Rocket League news for today. Obviously, a lot of roster stuff, which is going to continue for the weeks to come, but that does it here. If you guys do enjoy the content or would like additional information, down below, check out the social media links for myself, as well as all of the things I'm talking about today. And while you're down there, if you enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss the latest, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.